The justice departments in these countries in Europe and Scandinavia are very different from the United States. As we know, in the U.S., they haven't done anything. But in Europe, they're investigating. Yeah, they're looking into whoever was in the files for their country. They're asking for the files to do a further investigation. And I know they are in Ireland, I think Lithuania and Norway.
Good. My guy, Alessi Alaman, who's been with me forever, he has his own channel on YouTube. He did an amazing documentary, like tying together Epstein to Leon Black to Steve Bannon and everything. And if you look at like Cambridge Analytica and like the left-right fear politics machines that came up online in 15, 16, 17, the money for that started in, as far back as we can see, 1991 or 1992, which means it was probably before that. So they're thinking 25 years ahead on that,
sure, yeah.
But they can't think about the dude who goes like this. It goes, yo, fam, look at what I just saw out of this motherfucker.
Totally.
Right?
Oh, yeah. They didn't account for that happening.
No, they didn't.
And that's really what exploded these files.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, you just got back from Dublin, right? And I don't know a lot about this yet. I told you, we talked yesterday, and I was like, all right, let's save this for the podcast. But apparently, at least there and maybe some other places in Europe, there is some accountability that's being taken. What do you know about that?
Well, because I lived my first few years in England and then graduated high school in Belgium and spent half my life in Europe, I've done a lot more European press than most of the survivors. I think do a lot of American press, but I do a lot of international press, just because I know that a lot of the after I was a model, I had after I was a model, I was a scout, an international scout for big agencies, and so I would travel a lot to Eastern European countries like Bratislava or Lithuania and Poland, and so I was still absorbed in this world. So I was seeing what was going on and happening. So I have like an understanding of Jeffrey's ties to that part of the world in the modeling industry. And so and then also my story started on the island seeing Prince Andrew there, and my story ended in 2004 with a girlfriend that had a story about Prince Andrew. Right. So, I do a lot of press over there because of, what I know. And so, I went to Dublin and did the Late Late Show and had a really great conversation, about over there, and met with some people in England and have been doing some press just to bring awareness and try to corroborate the stories of others over there. Mainly Virginia Giuffre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, by the way. That's tragic. She was very brave. I mean, she was really out there pushing it for years and years and years.
Yeah, she was very brave.
Definitely did some amazing things for representing the victims. But there were, who was it, Deef? There's like was it someone in Norway has already been arrested? And then my question for you was, are you hearing about like them doing investigations now in England and in Ireland on some of the people that they have tied there?
Well, I mean, the justice departments in these countries in Europe and Scandinavia are very different from the United States. As we know, in the U.S., they haven't done anything. But in Europe, they're investigating. Yeah, they're looking into whoever was in the files for their country. They're asking for the files to do a further investigation. And I know they are in Ireland, I think Lithuania and Norway.
Good.
Yeah. So all these people that were mentioned in the files, maybe they're innocent, maybe they're not, but at least look into it.
Yes.
Right. At least take that next step and call for the files for their country or flight logs or whatever, and do your research. So I don't know. I love to see that these nations are doing what they should be doing.
If enough of them do it, maybe it puts some pressure even on the big dog in the United States. If enough of them do it and then see results, and their people, like the people of those countries, then get the press of it, and they're like, this, what?
Yeah. It's so crazy because in the U.S. there isn't really the empathy. I don't know why we're lacking so much empathy here. Even when I do media, I don't know if they're just told to be stone cold and have no feelings, but I just hate doing media in the U.S. And I've done quite a few of the major, broadcast networks and things, and I just don't enjoy doing it. But when I go abroad, Ireland, the UK, Germany, Australia,
They've been going in on this case
no, they
forever.
go in, they
Yeah.
care, they want to get the answers, and then they also want to do something about it.
Right.
So it's totally different. Like, what's your story? And they have empathy for your story and what you've gone through, and then that empathy feeds into, connecting the dots and looking into who, even it's in their prime ministers or people that are really important. They will do the right thing and they either resign or take further measures, but at least they do something. It's always to do something. In the US, it's just like, oh yeah, let's hear your story. Oh, that's good. Okay. Or that's great, but what else happened? What else happens after that?
Oh my God. What about off camera? Are they like, once the cameras go off, are they like a real human?
No, they just always have an agenda. So they ask you questions and you say one thing about Trump that's leading you to say something, then the headline is about that. And it's like, I didn't even talk about Trump. They make you just to have a headline. And I've always said, not to say that he's guilty or not guilty. It's just that's not my agenda because I know there's so many other men that are involved that were abused. I know of many, many girls who have gone to that island and that are forced to have sex. Passport taken away and forced to have sex with somebody they do not want to have sex with.
Passport taken away.
They take your passport away. There are girls that have tried to swim off that island. Where do they think they're going? I have no idea. But they're scared,
Yeah, I'll bet.
They're scared. That's not what they were thinking of when they were naively going to an island. Yeah. But I have girlfriends that were made to go into a room or in the middle of the night, somebody comes in and just has sex with them and leaves. It's really gross, to be honest with you. It's really gross. But I mean, I've seen some of those names in the files, but until a survivor comes forward and says, we're going to rally behind this and come forward, most likely those men will just get away with it. So.
I think sometimes, like, when you look at like content creators, there's people take themselves way too seriously and think it's way bigger than it is. It's like, dude, you're talking to a camera. It's not that big a deal. Yeah. What I will say when it comes to a story like this that has released so much investigative files publicly for us to review is that when you look at all these shows put together, and there's literally millions, if people can keep their eye on the ball with this and all review the same evidence that we all have a chance to review and do each of our little parts to keep it on the front burner, if you will, maybe we can get 10% of what we deserve to get. I'd like 100%, but you know what I mean? It's hard not to be I mean, you know better than anyone what I mean. It's hard not to be cynical.
Yeah, I mean, if the DOJ had just done their job, the FBI, the DOJ had just done their job and taken the people out of the files and investigated them, the survivors and the people would know you're doing something because we would see actual action happening, then they wouldn't have had to release the millions of files to the public.
Right.
But you have to remember, they don't care that the public sees all that. They know they're going to be like, oh, I'm disgusted by it for a few months and then it's going to go away. That's the least of their worries, just giving that to the American people because they know nothing's going to happen from that. What should have happened was when they had it for 15 years before they released it to us, or 20 years. How long has it been? 25 years before they released it to us? They should have done something about it.
Of course.
These calls have been coming in since the 90s, and the files only start from the early 2000s. They don't even go back to the 90s when the most depraved shit was happening.